guest musician, Charlie Thweet. We are so excited to have him back after a long hiatus. And he will lead our next song.
Got it? Okay, we're good. A long hiatus. Has anyone else here suffered from a hiatus? Okay, this song is called Feet on... Okay, I'm ready. I have my background music. This song is called Feet on the Ground. Kind of seeing all these faces of people I haven't seen in forever. It's really fun. So do you ever feel like you've learned all these unity principles, but maybe they're still living up in woo-woo land, you really need to embody them? So that's kind of what I'm singing about here, really putting our feet on the ground in these principles. So the words are very simple. It goes, put your feet on the ground, and then be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart. Pretty simple, right? Okay? So would you stand up, put your feet on the ground, and we'll get started here. So let me get you to rock to your right, and to your left, to your right, to your left. Here we go. Feel your feet. Put your feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Sing that. Put your feet on the ground. Feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Feet on the ground. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart again. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart. Put your feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. I put my feet on the ground. I put my feet on the ground. I put my feet on the ground. Okay, that was part one. Here comes part two. Remember, we're singing about connection, right? So I want you to connect with somebody. So find a partner near you. You're going to hold their two hands and look in their two eyes. So I'll give you a minute. You might need to move around. Go ahead, hold somebody's hands. Here we go. Put your feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Feet on the ground. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart and have connection. Be in my heart. Put your feet on the ground. I put my feet on the ground. I put my feet on the ground. I put my feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. I put my feet on the ground. I put my feet on the ground. I put my feet on the ground. Give a big hug to your partner.
My name is Mike, and it's my pleasure to be here and to welcome you to Unity of Walnut Creek. Please join me by turning to the camera and waving hello to our friends at home. Your presence adds to our spiritual community, and we appreciate you. So I invite everybody to turn the cell phone to silence as we enjoy this sacred service together. We thank our spiritual directors, Tyler and Lisa, for song leading and playing piano. And we have Dan on the drums. Our guest musician this morning is Charlie Thweet, Charlie has been a favorite with Unity groups since the early 1980s. He took a leap of faith from his budding architectural career into touring full-time with his spiritual concerts and workshops. He's been a presenter for spiritual organizations and metaphysical conferences for 35 years throughout the U.S., Canada, Europe, Australia, and every place else, and he leads tours to Italy. Yeah. We're thrilled to have him at our services today and in concert this afternoon. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Charlie. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. At Unity of Walnut Creek, our mission is, in loving community, we empower spiritual growth by modeling and teaching universal spiritual principles. So I invite you to join me in affirming our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And we would like to acknowledge those of you who are with us for the very first time. If you're comfortable in doing so, we invite you to raise your hand now so we may bring you a welcome packet. An usher will hand you a wooden necklace handmade by one of our congregants, and we invite you to wear that so we can connect with you after the service. We also invite you to complete the connection card in your packet and take it to the bookstore for an additional welcome gift. If you would rather, you may pick up a packet at the welcome table and visit the bookstore for your gift. Connection cards are available in the seat pockets in front of you. With this card, you may submit a prayer request, and our prayer chaplains will pray with you throughout the week. You may also share feedback with us on those cards. If you request information, the staff will respond during office hours. The ushers will receive the card with the offering. Till you hear the gong, please take a moment to greet the people immediately around you.
Good morning. My name is Javier Cortez, and I want to share some exciting opportunities happening at your Unity community. Remember that our potluck is today after the 11:30 service, followed by the Charlie Thweet concert at 2 p.m. Think of it as a brief musical retreat to nurture your spirit. Have you been looking for that one-stop workshop to give you a summary of the many tools of heart math? And that was. Have you been looking for a one-stop workshop to give you a summary of the many tools of heart math? That was good. Join CL this coming Saturday, August 5th, for a workshop to learn how to effectively use the many heart math techniques. The Monument Crisis Center of Concord is collecting backpacks and school supplies for children at risk. We have the barrel at the front door, and it will be there through next Sunday, August 6th. Please see the flyer in your bulletin for details on how you can help children start the school year strong. We also have an easy-to-read list of needed supplies on the guest table. So I would now like to invite Reverend Kristen to the platform.
Some people have told me they're not used to looking inside their bulletin, so inside your bulletin. I noticed that we have sacred service opportunities, and you know what? There's a bunch of them to fill in the blank space, so look next week for how we fill it in. But right now, I just want to bring your attention to the first one, which is about prayer chaplaincy. Some of you may know it as heart ministry. Recently, the formerly known as heart ministers decided to call themselves prayer chaplains because they wanted to really express to you what they do, which is partner with us in prayer. Have you ever been prayed for and felt like, oh my gosh, I love having this partner who could hold space for me for the best and highest good in my life? Now, I've got another question for you. Have you ever thought about being the one who offers the prayer? Or maybe you are already actively doing that. Or maybe your heart is like sort of doing a little flip-flop as you hear this opportunity. And if so, then it probably means that's your call into prayer chaplaincy. It's a wonderful extension of our ministry here to have people who can hold that kind of prayerful space for us and can be available to reach out to us and in joy and celebration as well as times that are tough for us and move us into that higher vibration that prayer offers. So if you would like to be one of these folks, we have an orientation meeting on Sunday, August 13th. You can learn a little bit more. It'll be at 1 o'clock. You'll be all prayed up because Karen Drucker is going to be here singing during the service, so I know you're going to want to be here. And then we'll tell you, CL, our coordinator, and I will tell you a little bit more about what to expect in the program. Then also, please note, if you're interested in this, the training dates, because we will have a training that is mandatory for all new prayer chaplains in September on the 8th through the 10th, that weekend. So come join us if you think you may be interested on the 13th. See you then.
Thank you, Reverend Kristen. And find out about more and other activities online or inside your bulletin, as Reverend Kristen brought up. So now let us enjoy a musical selection by the Charlie Thweet.
I have to tell you real quick, I was leading a tour group in Italy. We were in Florence. It was free time. I was walking by the Duomo, the cathedral there, and there was a young couple just setting up to do some street music. They were like 23 years old, a guy and a gal. He was on guitar, she was playing violin, just instrumental, a little 4-chord progression I'd heard before. And I found myself thinking, what if I were to just stand up there and just make up a third part and just kind of join the street music? And I decided not to. But I did sing what was coming to me into my phone, and it became this song almost word for word. This is called You Find It Here. When you find yourself before the dawn, seeking love in so many ways, though you thought that it was gone, it is here to stay. And you find it here, you find it now. Sing that. You find it here, you find it now. You find it here, you find it now. You find it here, you find it now. 'Cause your heart is always in love. In love. Your heart is always in love. So you go into the darkness here, to clear the way for your soul, and you feel there's so much longer still to go, till you see that you were meant to be the one to know your heart. Then you share it with another. That's how you know, you know, you know. Sing, that's how I know. That's how I know, I know, I know. That's how I know, I know, I know. That's how I know, I know, I know. I find it here, and I find it here. I find it now. 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 'Cause my heart is always in love. In love, join me. My heart is always in love. In love, my heart is always in love. In love, my heart is always in love. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I want to invite you to keep your eyes open during the beginning of our meditation time, because Terry Curtin, our prayer chaplain, will not only be sharing community prayer by reading it, but also by signing it. And then we'll move into our quiet meditation time. So enjoy.
The word is prosperity. The affirmation is, I open my mind to divine ideas and new directions of supply are revealed. As I am paying bills, I may feel frustrated with my debt to income ratio. I pray for abundance and repeat affirmation. Why then does it seem as to the creative laws of abundance aren't working for me? I am approaching prosperity from a belief in lack. My focus is on my perceived needs. Since what I focus on increases in my life, what I am doing is creating more needs. The opposite of my conscious intentions. So I shift my focus to spirit within. I learn to appreciate the ways in which prosperity is already present in my life. I open my mind to resources and channels. Prosperity comes to me in new and wonderful ways. I, the Lord, test the mind and search the heart to give to all according to their ways, according to the fruits of their doing. Jeremiah 17:10. And so it is.
Reverend Kristen mentioned about the prayer ministry here, and this song is about prayer and looking at how it can be both for receiving and giving. So I invite you to close your eyes. Sitting here in silence, talking to God each day. Sitting here in silence, talking to God, I pray. I can call for help anytime, talking to God each day. I can send out help anytime, talking to God, I pray. Sing with me. I can call for help. I can call for help anytime, talking to God each day. I can send out help. I can send out help anytime, talking to God, I pray. Sitting here in peace, talking to God each day. Sitting here in peace, talking to God, I pray. I can call for help. I can call for help anytime, talking to God each day. I can send out help. I can send out help anytime, talking to God, I pray. I can call for help. I can call for help anytime, talking to God each day. Send out help. I can send out help anytime, talking to God, I pray. I pray.
And so continuing in this wonderful flow of giving and receiving. Receiving our breath from the trees and the plants all around us, and giving our breath back out into the world. And in that wonderful loop, receiving the life breath of Spirit, and giving that life back out into the world. We take a moment in the silence to be a part of this giving and receiving, this simple loop, circulating the good, sharing our peace and our love, and receiving the peace and the love. Let's take a moment in the silence. And so now aware of the sense of well-being and peace that is continuously available to us from the spirit of our being. Let's now send that out into our community. Blessings of love and light and peace, prosperity. And see those blessings expanding into the wider community of the Bay Area. See how with every breath and every prayer and every thought that those blessings now expand throughout the state, throughout our country, with a pulsing light of love and peace and harmony to our leaders and those in Washington, D.C. We send blessings of awakening, of power, of light, of truth. Of love and kindness. And we see that truth permeating throughout our world, right here from where we sit, sending the power and the truth and the love and the light that we know so well in this moment. Knowing that people and living beings all over the world are receiving your blessing right now. And out beyond this planet into the cosmos, now goes our love, our light, and our blessings of prosperity, multiplying. Thank you, God, for allowing us to be a channel to give and receive with ease and with grace. And so it is. Amen.
I can call for help anytime. Talking to God each day. Each day I can send out help. I can send out help anytime. Talking to God, I pray. I can call for help. I can call for help anytime. Talking to God each day, I can send out help. I can send out help anytime. Talking to God, I pray. I pray. I pray. I pray. I pray. I was in a really open state. I heard a voice that kept repeating, "It's all a gift. It's all a gift. All of it. It's all a gift." And this song came a minute later. It's all a gift, the light pouring down. It's all a gift when things come unwound. It's all a gift, the loving we learn. It's all a gift, the light we return. So I lead with my heart, the heart of my soul. I lead with my heart and give back control. I lead with my heart, shining within. When I lead with my heart, healing begins. Sing that with me. When I lead with my heart, when I lead with my heart, healing begins. Healing begins. When I lead with my heart, healing begins. Sing, it's all a gift. It's all a gift. The light pouring down. The light pouring down. It's all a gift. When things come unwound. When things come Sounds true. Thank you.
Yes, leading with our hearts. It's been an interesting week in leadership. I've really been thinking about leadership this week. You know, as we've been doing this 4 Pillars of Prosperity series, the first pillar is vision. And we know in Unity the kind of world we envision, right? The kind of world that works for everyone. The kind of world where we lead with our hearts, right? We connect with our hearts. We come from that place. And I had some stellar examples of leadership this week when I got to meet with our new CEO, Jim Blake, at Unity headquarters, Unity Village near Kansas City. And the new vice president of Silent Unity, Linda Martella-Whitsitt, they wanted to come to our center. They were here to, host a reception for area ministries, but then they came specifically to our church. And they came with a development officer, and I really didn't know why they wanted to come, or, there wasn't any particular agenda set out. But I thought, well, a development officer is coming. Maybe they want to talk to us about giving. And it was completely different than that. We had this really rich conversation in which we shared vision and ideas, and it was inspiring, and I think it was a give and a receive kind of experience, It was that law of circulation in action. And so when we lead with our hearts, we bring forth a generosity, and that's what was really modeled for me by our new CEO, Jim. One of his visions at Unity Village, where we once had about 1,800 acres, we still have a lot of acreage there at the headquarters if you've not been before. And one of the ways he wants to use that space and acreage, as the motels are kind of falling into disrepair, he has this idea, instead of just mowing those motels down, let's renovate them and let's invite veterans to come and to be artists in residence. And then let's give them all kinds of therapy. Equestrian therapy and other kinds of therapy. This is the kind of vision that we have at the head of Unity now. And it moves me and inspires me and excites me. I don't know if that particular vision will come to fruition, but he has all kinds of ideas about ways we can partner with like-minded organizations to give of the gifts that we have to give. He's all about servant leadership, being of service, as is Linda, our new Vice President of Silent Unity. So I want to share that with you to let you know that we're in good hands. And that when we come together, and as we were leaving, Suzanne, the development officer, hadn't shared that much, and she said, I just want to really thank your congregation for all the gifts you give us. And I don't know if you all know, but we tithe, of course, as a church regularly. So whatever you give to us, 10% goes out. We practice what we preach. And that 10% goes out to some of the Unity arms that feed us spiritually, and it also goes out to other wider kinds of places in the world that we find spiritually inspiring and feeding. And so this is that giving and receiving cycle, a key law in prosperity, the law of circulation. That which when we give, we shall receive. There's always that flow happening. And so the third pillar, last week we talked about the second pillar, forgiveness, and the third pillar of prosperity is generosity. And so it is in the spirit of generosity that we practice the law of circulation in many ways. You may have heard some of these familiar sayings about the law of circulation. What goes around comes around. Or what you put in, you get back. Maybe you've heard even the German philosopher Friedrich, how do you say his name? Nietzsche. Thank you. Well, I looked it up and they said Nietzsche. I thought it was Nietzsche too. So anyway, that guy, the German philosopher some of you know, he said, be cautious when spitting in the wind. See, because the law works no matter what. Right? No matter what you're giving out, it comes back. You know, that's the beauty of laws. They're like, the spiritual laws are just like scientific laws. They work when you work them. You know, they just work no matter how you approach them. So, you know, you can cooperate with the law of gravity and you can stay firm on the earth, or you can choose not to cooperate and suffer the consequences, right? And so it is with all of our principles. We can choose how we work them, but the laws just work because they are laws. They're impersonal in other words. So we get to choose how we work that law. So, you know, the physician Luke once said, "Give and it will be given to you. Pressed down, shaken together, pouring over, running into your lap." That the promise of blessings is a part of being the spiritual being that we are on the earth, right? So if we are spirit on earth, which we understand that we are, then generosity is just so natural. Giving is so natural to us because we know we are whole and well, wealthy and healthy, that we have much to give, right? And so it's with ease that we give. And when we do, an overflowing blessing, pressed down, shaken together, pours over and falls right into our lap. Isn't that lovely? And yet we don't give to receive, do we? We give simply because it is our natural impulse to do so. Sometimes when we give out of that natural impulse, we also have that little, ooh. You ever have that? Like you gave it away and then you go, ooh. You brought that shirt to circulation day and now you're going, oh, where's my fuchsia shirt? Piero Ferrucci, who wrote The Practice of Kindness, tells a story about his 4-year-old grandson and that experience, that moment of pause, where he gave his grandfather very freely one of his prized possessions, his little toy matchbox car. And so Piero, being a psychologist, understood this experience, right? So he just put it in his pocket. And he said thank you to his grandson. And then he watched as his grandson went into panic mode. Right? The car is no longer visible. Now it's in granddad's pocket. I've given it away, like permanently given it away, right? And there was panic. But instead of fixing it and pulling it out and giving it to the child, and, you know, he just rode the wave with him. And so his grandson, he says, rode the wave of panic. And then he came to a place of peace and he said, "You can keep it, Grandpa." And he ran away and went and played. And so if we can use that lesson for ourselves when we have that moment, because I think it's a primal kind of instinctual feeling that there's not enough. You know, one of those scarcity myths, that maybe there really isn't enough. Despite everything we say in here and we talk about and we practice over and over again, don't we all sort of feel that little bit of, oh, what if there's not enough? What if I should be doing a mad scramble for my survival? Because it is a lot of how the world works, right? On these scarcity myths, we have all sort of agreed that there's not enough, more is better, and that's just the way it is. Those are Lynn Twist's scarcity myths out of the book, The Soul of Money. But a lot of us operate on those unconsciously, even if we are conscious of spiritual principles. So then we can be aware of those moments of pause and, you know, I let it go and now I want it back, a sense of loss. And we can move through it to say, I give of it freely, just like the little boy did. So those may be some things that we trip up along the way in our giving, but we're still committed to the giving, aren't we? We're still committed to being generous beings. Because, you know, when we are generous, don't you feel wealthy when you're generous? I do. I always feel like really wealthy when I give. Of my time, I feel like I have more time. When I give to spirit of my time, when I sit in meditation or prayer, the day goes more smoothly. Even if I think I have a zillion things to do, those zillion things get done in a much more smooth and joyful way. Did you ever notice that? It's like prayer and meditation multiplies time. And so too does it in all the ways that we give. As we give of our gifts, our tithes of our time, our tithes of our service, our tithes of our treasure, our tithes of our income. It's all sort of make-believe anyway. You know, we all made up the idea of chronos time. We all made up the idea of money. And then we all freak out about it. And they're made up constructs. We move around the idea of money and all these accounts. It's just an idea. One we all just decided we'd make up. But back in the day, we just traded services. You know, and some of us do that now. Just traded. We give somebody a luscious peach from the farmer's market and they give us some words of advice. You know, or whatever it is that we decide is a giving to that person. You know, not just, we don't live just the golden rule of treating others as we want to be treated, but the platinum rule. Have you heard of that one? Where we treat others as they wish to be treated. Yeah. I was so proud, you know, I'm going to use that word proud, and I don't mean that from an ego stand. Well, I don't care how I mean it. I felt proud. I'm not going to explain that one away. Anyway, our dignitaries from Unity were leaving Friday morning, and they asked if they could find had a place to change because they were going to be traveling, and I brought them over to the bathrooms. And I have to say, I was proud when I said, we have a gender non-specific bathroom as well as a women's bathroom. You know, because that's walking our talk. That's saying these are the things we value. So we value inclusivity. We value welcome. We say that everybody is an expression of God. And we are not the kind of movement that says, but it stops here. Or we box it in here. Or you're left outside of God's love. That's not who we are. And so it's not a platitude. It's a living embracing. It's a walking the talk. Right? And where we find the edges within ourselves of our own prejudices, we know that that's our work to do. That's generosity. That's a generosity to spirit, a generosity to ourselves, and a generosity to all beings with whom we share this earth. That's the kind of prosperity that we're working with. It's a giving unto others that says, we are in this together, and I've got your back. And I know that you've got mine. Isn't it fun to give spontaneously? You know, so many of us, I know, at least I do, and maybe you do too, I sometimes think really nice things about people, but I don't always say them. Do you ever do that? I don't know why we do that. I guess it's a kind of vulnerability thing or something. You know, like if we're standing in an elevator with a perfect stranger and we think something really nice about them, you know, it seems maybe odd to say something, especially in the elevator kind of thing where you're both standing and looking at the buttons, you know. But even just with people we know, sometimes it doesn't come out so spontaneously like a child gives in the moment. But I witnessed that in our class the other night. Ted and Deborah and I were in a triad, and we were talking about something else. And Ted just all of a sudden looks at me and is speaking of Deborah, and he goes, "Isn't she pretty?" And it was so beautiful and so spontaneous and so genuine. And so when we feel those things, why not just express them? You know, without the strings attached to it, with how it's going to be received and all that stuff. Because if we're living and breathing generosity, do you think Spirit worries about how we're going to receive? Do you think the laws of the universe care? I mean, that sounds callous, but there's a sense of it just works. And so we can participate with that principle and work it by just continuing to give of our hearts, to lead with our hearts, our open hearts. So giving spontaneously, giving genuinely, giving with good humor. Shel Silverstein, the poet, gives us this idea. Draw a crazy picture, he says. Write a nutty poem. Sing a mumble-gumble song. Whistle through your comb. That sounds fun. Do a loony-goony dance across the kitchen floor. Something silly. Put it in the world that hasn't been there before. So giving the world a gift of laughter or joy in any way, just being silly, is another way that we can practice our generosity. Because you know when we laugh, you know, it's like, you know about all the the benefits of like all the massaging of the organs and all that, but also just the breaking up of the energy. And did you ever recognize that when you are in a moment of laughter, you are completely in the now? You aren't thinking about anything that's coming next or came before. In that moment, you are simply in the joy of laughter. So you give somebody the gift of being in the now and being in joy when you share in this humorous way as well. And we can also give in really extraordinary ways. All of us ordinary peeps can give in really extraordinary ways. It just takes breaking through some of the conventional ideas of how things work. Like, for example, we always think of team sports as competitive, right? It's part of the fun, right? The competition is part of the fun. It drives us to our best. And yet, sometimes it doesn't have to be so competitive. It can just be a joyful kind of sharing. So there's a story that I heard of that it's happened in 2009. This young woman, Sarah, was a college softball player, and she played for Western Oregon. And they were playing West Central Washington. And the two teams were in the championship together, and it was Sarah's senior year. She had never in her career of softball hit a home run. And on this day, during this championship game, she hit a home run, 5-2. She said she always just hit line drive. She wasn't a power hitter, but she hit it over the fence that day. So you can imagine what joy for her to experience that for the first time as her career was kind of coming to an end. But there was a problem because as she rounded first, she realized she missed first base. And so she turned around really quickly to go back and tag first, and she tore her ACL. And then she was hugging first base in all this pain, and she couldn't move. And so there's this sort of suspension on the field. What's going to happen? The umpire, the coaches, the two teams, nobody knows what to do. She hit it over the fence. She should have a home run, but she's hugging first base, and she can't move. So let's watch the rest of the story on video.
On her team would have helped Sarah, she would have been called out.
That was the problem. None of Tucholsky's teammates were allowed to touch her. That's when Central Washington's Mallory Holtman, a player with more home runs than any other in conference history, a player for the opposing team, spoke up.
I went to the home plate umpire and asked if we could pick her up and carry her, and he looked at me a little strange.
And the umpire went and said, yes, you can do that. I'm still standing there in shock. I said, thank you so much.
We asked her, so like, is it okay if we pick you up and carry you around the bases?
And I say yes, and and say thank you. And she says, you hit the ball over the fence, you deserve it.
For that reason only, because she deserved it, Holtman and Wallace began to carry the injured Tucholsky, stopping to touch her left foot on each base as the three made their way around the diamond.
We actually started laughing because we were just wondering what this would look like to all the people in the stand.
When I looked up, I didn't see, giant smiles and screams. I saw emotion and tears and people crying.
It's a great moment when someone has character to step up and do the right thing at the right time.
It's emotional. You're proud. Be associated with those kids.
That's the first home run of the season for number 8, Sarah Tucholsky.
The fact is, I made my goal. I hit a home run, and it's my last at bat of my career, but I, made my goal, so I'm proud of myself.
Mallory Holtman, Liz Wallace, and the Central Washington team lost the game that day, 4-2. Sarah Tucholsky lost the rest of her season and her career to a knee injury. But for the spirit of sportsmanship, a greater victory, made on a long trot around the bases, a trip that truly touched them all.
I have a lot of respect for her and put her in high regards, her and her teammates. And, I can't thank her enough.
Yeah. When we live the vision of our lives, when we live the vision of spirit, we see past the usual ways of doing things to the most powerful ways in which we all win. And that's obviously what those girls did that day. It's through that spirit of generosity that they gave up their win so that everybody could win. And so that kind of giving, that kind of essence of giving is what we're really about. We give to each other personally, but we also give in a universal way because we're all in it together. And we all have the same basic ideas about our needs and our wants and our prosperity. We all have that sort of instinctual, when we, give something away and then we're not sure. At times, not all of us all the time. Some of us some of the time. And so ways of giving that are out of the ordinary and ways of giving that are so simple, available to us all the time, are both part of the practice. It's part of working this aspect of prosperity that is generosity. So when we give, it's important to consider, what are we giving from? Are we giving out of obligation? Did you ever get invited to a party? It's a birthday party, so you feel this sort of cultural obligation. I have to go get a gift. And sometimes we want to, and sometimes we've got the perfect thing for somebody, but sometimes we just do it out of duty. That's not the kind of giving that's really that fun, flowy, prosperous generosity, is it? And so as much as we can, we want to align ourselves with that kind of giving, the kind of giving that flows from our open hearts and is that sharing of the joy of the gift that has been given. After 9/11, there was a tribe in South Kenya that didn't learn of what happened until 7 or 8 months later. Because of the way that their culture is, they weren't plugged in. And because their culture is so different, they didn't really understand necessarily. They'd never been to New York City or they didn't know the specifics of what had happened. But what they did know was some kind of catastrophe happened in New York City that especially affected the people of New York City. And so in their own way as a tribe, they got together in all their ceremonial garb, and they sat together in council and talked about what would be the best way to respond to this catastrophe. And they looked around at their most prized possessions, and they decided that sending the 16 cows they had would be the greatest gift that they could give the people of New York City. People gave their food supply in solidarity with people they'd never met across the world because it's natural to give. It's natural to want to share in our generosity. It's our natural impulse. And so as we practice this week, let's find the places where we sort of get into the ebb and ride the wave of that panic or feeling of not enough or grasping, and instead give anyway. Give out of the joy of giving that is natural for us. We don't give to receive, but oh, do we receive when we give. Isn't that true? And so if you are one of those people that says, I'm a good giver, but I'm not a good receiver, I really want to suggest to you to revisit that. That's like a river giving freely to the ocean and turning around to the mountain and saying, no thanks, I don't want any more water. So what happens, right? What we have to give dries up. Because it is meant to be a cycle. Spirit needs us, right? Why were we created? So Spirit could know itself, right? It was just all oneness. Oneness doesn't know itself unless it can look at itself, right? And so here we are in dual form. Here we are the form of human so that we can be the givers of the divine to all these faces of God and all this diverse expression of God. This is a great gift that we have, this life. Don't you want to share it on every level? So this week I urge all of us to practice generosity. I mean, no holds barred generosity. Beyond the conventional ways of our society, in small and large ways, give freely and see how that overflowing blessing comes in. But don't give for it. Just open yourself to receive, because it's coming too. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Kristen. You definitely hit a home run, and we at Unity will carry you around the basement. Our prayer chaplains are available after the service to provide personal prayer support. They are wearing the lavender stoles. Whether you have a joy or concern on your heart today, praying with our prayer chaplains is a powerful opportunity to have your intentions raised up in consciousness. Let us now open our hearts to the consciousness of giving as we align with the universal law of circulation. As we give, we shall receive. In truth, there is no lack or limitation. Abundance is our true nature. There are a variety of ways to financially give to this community. For credit card donations, use PushPay on your smartphone or take an envelope from the clipboard on the back of each chair. Those of you at home, you can also use PushPay or click on the donate button on the Watch Live page. I now invite you to take your tithe or offering in your hand and repeat our affirmation together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am joy-filled and grateful. Amen.
Wave after wave after wave after wave after wave is breaking down the wall. We sing that? Wave after wave after wave after wave after wave is breaking down the wall. I'm lost in useless patterns that seemed so comfortable, and things that used to work are now unbearable. Join Thanks. It's great being back. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. We look forward to enjoying your concert at 2 o'clock and a potluck lunch right after this. We are so abundant. Let us give thanks for these gifts. As we bless them, they multiply. Together, let's speak our affirmation. We give thanks for the ever-increasing, unceasing flow of absolute good in our lives now. So it is. Let's bring our children in with Marching in the Light. Yes.
Okay, great. The children are going to give some of their talents and gifts out to you guys by singing a lovely song that Pam helped coordinate with the kids, so enjoy.
All right, are we ready?
I am as I am, I am as I am, I am as I am, I think I like it. I am as I am, I am as I am, I am as I am, I think I like it. Only as I am, can I reach what I'm looking for? Only as I am, can I reach what I'm looking for? I am as I am, I am as I am, I am as I am, I think I like it. I am as I am, I am as I am, I am as I am, I really like it.
Thank you for sharing your gifts. The children of all ages are, and the youth are joining us in our prosperity series. So that was their gift of giving to us today. And it is received with joy and gratitude. So if you will join hands with somebody nearby, or if they're shy, just put a hand on a shoulder. And let's speak our prayer of protection together. Bless the children. I forgot to give back. All right, let's bless our children. Youth and teachers, you are loved, special, and important. The light of God shines through you. And now let us close out with our prayer of protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
God ever present.
You are the light and the love and the peace on earth. So let your light shine and have fun.